All right, so here we go. Let's add a level of complexity to the story that we told last week. If you remember, last week I gave you a symbol and you were able to tell me the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. And I kept telling you when it came to electrons, now be careful because it's only an electron if it's an atom. And I said next week, we're going to deal with things when they're not atoms. All right, so periodic table. What does it tell you? Of course, you should have your periodic tables out because chemistry students always have their periodic tables out. You have two numbers. The only number you really need to be concerned about should be the top number, the whole number. But I don't want to leave you sitting there going, well, what's with the bottom number? The bottom number, in this case, chlorine, 35.5, is the weighted average of all the different types of chlorines. There is a chlorine 34, 35, 36, 37. I think there's even a chlorine 38. So how do they arrive at 35.5? They take the average of it. Now, it's not just an average, it's a weighted average. It's kind of like, have you ever had a teacher that always, every grade you got was out of 10 or out of 12 or out of 100? Okay, if it was an itty bitty little homework assignment, it was out of 100. If it was a little quiz, it was out of 100. If it was a big old test that was very important, that was the accumulation of 3 weeks worth of work, it was out of 100. So how did the teacher make it so that the test was a bigger chunk of your grade? They weighted it. They weighted it. It's a simple mathematical formula that when the time comes, I will explain it to you. But judging from the fact that this is 35.5, probably most of the chlorines are 35 or 36, the majority. So this gives, these weighted averages give these atomic masses worth depending on how many of them you have out of 100. For example, uranium has two isotopes, 235 and 238. If we were playing bingo, you have one of those, little roller balls with the little ping pong balls inside that say B12 or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about? If we had 100 ping pong balls in the little roly bingo thing, 99 of them would say 238. One would say 235. What are the chances that you would reach into that ping pong, that bingo, spherical thing and reach out and grab 235? Not like 99, 238, 1, 235. Not likely. Why? Because 99% of all the uraniums is 238. 1% is 235. Is it fair to just take a straight average between them and say it's 236.5? No. Not when the vast majority is 238. That's not fair to do that. So what they do, put it away. So what they do is they weight the average, which means it averages out to be around 238, which is fair since the vast majority of all the uraniums is 238. So if the number of protons, the atomic number, that number on top, gives an element its identity, what gives it its personality? It's a number of electrons. We kind of ignored the electrons last week. We said, however many protons you have, that's how many electrons. We ignored it. But the fact is, electrons are far more important than anything else. If I was to find Matthew's social security number, I could steal his identity. But I could steal it, but I would not really be, I could not impersonate him. Why? Besides the fact that I don't look anything like him, why? I don't know his personality. I don't know his personality. Your DNA cannot tell you, just because you know somebody's DNA does not mean you know its personality. So think of atomic number as the identity, the DNA, the social security number, but it's the number of electrons that give you its personality. So the periodic table, very useful for telling you the number of protons. That's this whole number here. Not very useful for telling you anything else, because you need to know not this number, but its mass number in order to find the number of neutrons. So on the periodic table, the only number you should be focusing in on is at number 1, the atomic number. That's it. All right, so using the periodic table, focus on the other number that I just told you not to focus on, because I want to just hit it and go. What is the weighted average for the following? Iron, go. Somebody that can read, raise your hand. Uni. And the unit is actually the letter U for unit, believe it or not. Uranium, raise your hand. Casey. Very nice. Sodium. Wes. I'm just going to volunteer you, okay? So you need to be a little anxious and ready. (23.0). And iodine. Genesis. All right, that's atomic mass. For this period, the rest of the period, ignore that. We won't use that. Have you heard of ions? What are they? Well, I've talked about them. What are they? Ions are atoms that have lost or gained electrons. Ions are atoms that have lost or gained electrons. Somehow we've gotten in our minds that if we gain something, that's a good thing. That's not right. What if, for example, tomorrow morning you discover that you have gained a big old fat zit right between your eyes, and now it looks like you have 3 eyes? Is that a good thing that you've gained a pimple? No. What if you were to gain herpes? Ew. Or a wart? Ew. So some things that you gain are not good. Think of electrons as pimples. You gain them, bad things happen. Bad things happen. They're negative. Negative. So there are 2 types of ions. You lose a pimple, that's good. You're positive. If you gain a pimple, that's bad. That's negative. So if you're a positive ion, that means you wake up one morning and where there was a zit is now smooth, clean skin. Does that make you smile or does that make you frown? That makes you smile. Okay? Positive ions are atoms that have lost pimples, that have lost electrons. Think of pimples as electrons. So if you lose a pimple, that's a positive thing. You are now a positive ion. You are now a positive ion. Why do we call it positive? Because if what you're losing is a negative thing like a pimple, then when you lose it, that's good. That's positive. The pimple went away. Yay. It's the day before the prom. It's prom day. And you wake up and that zit that was on your forehead last night is gone. Yes, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You have a wart, that's not a good thing. But if you lose it, that is a good thing. It is positive. Negative ion. Well, you wake up prom morning and right on the tip of your nose, big old whitehead. Yuck. Okay? It's devastating. You cry. Then your mom says, I'll just put some makeup. And Deo says, I'm a dude. I don't want to go to the prom with makeup on. And your mom says, dude, you need makeup on that zit. And Dale goes, fine, fine, but this is just totally ruining my day. Why? It's a negative thing. So, what are negative ions? Atoms that have gained electrons. Atoms that have gained electrons. We have special names for positive ions and negative ions. Positive ions, let me draw you the picture that will always help me remember. So, if you imagine the cat having little positive eyes, you know how cats, their eyes are like a vertical instead of, that weird kind of slit. If you just remember that, then you'll remember that positive ions are cat ions. Cat ions. The name that we have for negative ions, this is what it reminds me of. It makes you cry if you cut into them. Onions, you know how they have little lines? The little lines can maybe represent negatives. So, onions, anions, get it? Onions, negative, cations, positive. Yes, and that's chemistry because what the onion is doing is it's releasing a gas that when it mixes with your tears in your eye, it turns it into an acid. So the onion causes an acid to be produced in your eyes and it upsets your eyes and you start tearing up some more, which of course produces even more acid. So best thing you can do is get away from the onion. Sometimes you can't do anything about that. If you have neither, and this is what we dealt with last week, if you have neither gained or lost electrons, you have the electrons that you were born with, then you are said to be neutral. You are an atom. You are an atom. If you're an atom, you are neutral. So, sodium has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How do I know it has 11 electrons? Because on the periodic table it says 11 on it. Okay? What happens if one of those electrons goes away? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now it is sodium plus 1. Why? Because yay, I lost a pimple. I'm plus 1. I still have 10 more to go, but hey, I'm moving in the right direction. I've lost a pimple. It's plus 1. Somebody help me with magnesium. How many dots should I have with magnesium? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What happens if one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? What happens if 2 electrons? What is your charge? Minus, so you lose 2 pimples and all of a sudden you're feeling bad? Because you lost 2 pimples, Casey. They were right here and on the side of your nose. And it's prom day and they're gone that morning. It's a positive thing, isn't it? It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. So, magnesium becomes positive 2. Why? Because you have lost two negative things. So that's good. You're positive 2. Yay. Okay, think this way, Casey. Whatever it says, do the opposite. So if it says +2, your mind goes to, oh, I've gained 2. No, you lost 2. That's better. All right, chlorine. 17 negatives. What if chlorine gains an extra electron, so now that it has 18 electrons? What is the charge on chlorine? Oh no, I have an extra pimple. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Bad. And how many pimples did you gain? 1. The way Casey wants to do it, if I added 1, then I do the opposite. I take away 1. You can either do it the Casey way or my way. Both of them work. Oxygen, according to the periodic table, has 8. What if? What if it gains 2 pimples? So now it has how many? 8 gain 2. So my way, what did you gain? 2 electrons. Electrons are like pimples. That's bad. Bad. How many bad things did I get? I got 2 bad things. Casey way is I gain 2 things. What's the opposite? I minus 2 things. So, how can our nuclear symbols help us with this stuff? They'll give you the charge. Once you know the charge, either do it my way or Casey way to figure out the number of electrons. So now a nuclear symbol can tell you the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Last week, we learned the number of protons and neutrons. Now we're adding the electrons. You ready? Set. Go. Magnesium, 25 plus 2. 25 magnesium plus 2. What do you guys like, the Casey way or my way? My way? We'll do both. We'll do both. All right, for the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons, I will do the first one for you, and then I will volunteer you to do the next ones. You ready? First thing I do is look up magnesium on the periodic table. What is its number? 12. That automatically tells me the number of protons. To find the number of neutrons, subtract those two numbers. 25 minus 12 is... Now, to find the number of electrons, plus 2 means, yes, yes, I have lost 2 pimples. I used to have 12, but now I have lost 2. The Casey way is plus 2. No, don't think that way. Don't think that way. Think minus 2. So take away 2 from 12. Either way works. The Casey way or the Marino pimple way. You like the pimple way? All right. 200. Gold, 0. Matthew Kelly, thank you for volunteering. Gold, how many protons does it have to have? And how do you know that? Yeah, it says it on it's the atomic number of gold. Very nice, Matthew. Matthew, how many neutrons? And how do you know that? 200 minus 79 is 121. Good job. Now, there's your clue. The clue to me, Matthew says, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. So if nothing's changed, it still would be 79. If nothing changes, if there's a 0 there, that means nothing has changed. It has to be 79. Caleb Morrow, how you doing, bud? Excellent. You volunteered to do the next one. Okay, I need the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Where do I find the number of protons? What is it? And how do you know? Very good. That's the atomic number for it. Number of neutrons. All right, here comes the hard part. -1. The pimple weight. Oh man, you gained an extra. You had 17 pimples to begin with. Now you've gained an extra pimple. I know I've gained it because I don't want to gain pimples. That's bad. That's negative. -1 means I've gained an extra pimple. So what is it? 18. Doing it the Casey way, -1, do the opposite. Add 1. Add an electron. All right, Casey, you're volunteering for the next one. Okay, I'm going to help you even less. I'm holding. How do you know that? It's on the table. Number of neutrons. Why don't you use a calculator? What are you needing to do? Maybe we can help you. Subtract what? Subtract what? And what? So 1 minus 0 is 4 minus 2. Good job. 21. All right, it is +2. You're not even using the Casey method. The Casey method is, if it says +2, then subtract 2. If it's +2, my way, if it's +2, 2 good things has happened to you. What has happened to you? You have lost 2 pimples. You had 20, now you only have 18. You're moving in the right direction toward a pimpleless prom. PP. You can put that on Twitter. I have a PP. Pimpleless prom. All right. Tax. Number of protons, bud. And how do you know? That's its atomic number. Good. Number of neutrons. And how do you know? Excellent. Number of electrons. How do you know? Use the Casey method. If it says -2, don't do that. Add 2. Add 2 to your protons. 18. Very nice. Very nice. One more, I think. Is it one more? Yes, one more. Ariel. Ariel. Fe plus 3, 47. And how do you know that? Okay. What are you trying to do? Add? What are you subtracting? 7 minus 6? 4 minus 2? Yeah. Okay, number of electrons. Number of electrons. Ariel. You want to use the Casey method or my method? My method? Okay, plus 3 means 3 good things have happened to you. So how many pimples do you have if 3 good things have happened to you? Very nice. Very nice.